Welcome to HealthWatch, presented by Novant Health. I'm your host, June Baker. Our show features local physicians and health professionals discussing health topics of importance to local residents. Today we'll talk to Cheryl Syracuse with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Office about food safety in the summer. We'll also speak with Dr. Joseph Kibler with Brunswick Foot and Ankle Surgery, and he'll talk to us about common foot and toenail problems. Our final guests will be Peggy Starella and Randy Thompson with the Novant Health Foundation Brunswick Medical Center to talk with us about an upcoming golf tournament. Stay tuned to learn about valuable health topics with HealthWatch. Welcome back to the show today, Cheryl. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's great to be here, June.
Thank you. Well, to begin, tell our viewers a little bit about your education and your background.
Sure. I'm a home economist by training. Now, lots of folks may not even know what a home economist is anymore. Today, they call them family consumer sciences.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Home economics, and I've been in the field for about 33 years.
Wow.
Well, that's scary. And right now I work for the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, and I am one of their food safety people. I work in the Family Consumer Science Department. My primary responsibility is food safety. I work a lot with restaurant owners and restaurant managers to teach the Serve Safe class for restaurant folks. I spend a lot of time teaching folks in the summer food preservation, but just general food safety is my field.
That's interesting. And today we want to focus on food safety because it's summertime. And you know, things, well, I don't have to tell you, things tend to spoil quicker in the summer, I believe. And I know it's a really important topic with picnics and outside cookouts and all those things.
Well, it's important year-round, but it does seem to come
little
more in the foreground in the summer because people are taking food places. They're taking them to the beach. They're taking them on picnics, and it's hotter outside, and that makes a difference too.
Yeah.
So we like to talk about food safety during the summer.
Well, good. That sounds
June,
great.
I'm going to flip this on you a little bit.
Oh, no.
I'm going to ask you questions instead of you asking me questions.
Okay.
Does that go good? Okay, we'll start with I've got some listed here. Let me see what I can do. Let's start with after meat and poultry is cooked.
Okay.
You know, like maybe fried chicken or barbecue. Is it safe to leave it at room temperature?
I'm going to say no.
Good.
Really?
Yes.
But I can remember my mom saying, oh, you have to wait till it cools before you can put it in the refrigerator.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that from lots of grandmas and moms.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb is 2 hours at room temperature. After that time, the bacteria starts to multiply. Now, when it's 90 degrees outside, shorten that a little bit to 1 hour at room temperature. And we're talking, you know, at a picnic, you have fried chicken sitting out.
Yeah.
This also applies to the rest of the year with things like pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah,
No.
you don't want to let it sit out for more than 2 hours.
Oh,
Just
gosh.
because it's cooked doesn't mean it's not doing anything. That
Oh,
bacteria starts
okay.
to multiply again.
I learned something there.
Now back to your mom.
Okay.
Okay, now when my grandma was growing up, they had ice boxes. I mean, for
Yeah,
real ice
for
boxes
real
with
ice
ice
boxes.
in it. And if you did put a really hot something in that ice
yeah,
box,
it
it
would
would
melt the
melt it. But she also probably didn't have central heat either. You know, so she would put it in the cool part of the house, allow it to cool a little bit, and then get it in the ice box.
But when you have a Frigidaire,
Right.
you don't need to do that any longer, right?
You don't think to, but that was why Grandma let things cool. You need to, you know, they don't want to be boiling hot because that would make the rest of the refrigerator hot. But you don't want them to let them sit out for several hours.
Right.
2 hours is really the rule of thumb.
Great. You got another one?
I got another one. What about mayonnaise? Do you think adding mayonnaise to food increases its chance of food poisoning or lessens the chance?
It probably increases it.
And that's another one Grandma taught us that's probably wrong.
Really?
Yeah. I got some mayonnaise here, but when was the last time you made for real mayonnaise?
Never.
Never? Okay. If you've ever made for real mayonnaise, starting from the very beginning where you have a raw egg and you whip oil into the raw egg. Setting that definitely would be a food poisoning or a food safety risk because you've got a raw egg sitting at room temperature. Okay. When you buy a commercially prepared mayonnaise or a salad dressing, start looking at the ingredients. And in all of these, there's some sort of acid. In this one, it's distilled and cider vinegar. Okay, that acid actually helps inhibit the bacteria from growing.
Really?
So it's when people say, let's put the potato salad away because of the mayonnaise, or let's watch that macaroni salad or that slaw. The mayonnaise isn't the bad guy. It's the chicken that's in the salad, the egg that's in the salad. Those things are really potentially hazardous foods, and sitting them at room temperature, again, more than 2 hours or an hour when it's 90 degrees outside, is the risk. Now, I don't want you to say, I got mayonnaise in there, it's got vinegar, it's safe. You don't use this as a crutch. But mayonnaise is not the bad guy.
Okay.
Unless you're making your own from raw eggs.
Forget that.
All right.
That ain't going to happen.
Okay, let me see. Hard cooked eggs.
Okay.
They're great to take on a hike, maybe take them to the beach, because they don't need to be refrigerated.
I think they do need to be refrigerated.
They do. And I got an egg here too. I brought it in my cooler today just to keep. The rule is the same for things like eggs. The shell here is porous.
Oh,
You're still, the heat is still going to get in there, the bacteria is still going to get in there, it is still going to actually multiply.
So it's probably not a good idea at Easter time to color your eggs and let them sit in a pretty bowl.
Right, it's not.
And lots of people do that.
Or hide them and then find them tomorrow. No, 2 hours is the rule for Easter eggs too. Okay. How about dirt and pesticides should be removed from fresh fruits and vegetables by washing them in soap and detergent?
I think I know they should be rinsed, but I don't know about soap and detergent.
Just water.
Oh, see, I'm not as dumb as I thought.
No, I told you do well. Lots of fresh, running, clean water. Not all soaps are I don't want to say edible, but you know, they're not like food quality, food grade. Don't put soap on it. The only time you would ever want to think about even putting soap on something would be perhaps like a melon. You know how melons have dirt sometimes on them from the field? You could scrub that with a little bit of soap, and then when you slice through it, you're not getting the dirt from the outside onto that good
the grit into there,
But that's because you're not eating the rind. You don't eat the melon rind.
Tell me something. Will you come back?
I would love to. It's fun.
Because there's so much more to talk about. I would love to have you back. This has been so much fun. I loved it. But before we wrap up, are there any resources that we can point our viewers toward for more information?
Well, there's lots and lots of great things on the internet these days.
Well, sure.
U.S. Department of Agriculture, U.S. Food and Drug Administration have lots of food safety kinds of things. Or you can always call the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Our office here in Brunswick County is at the Government Center.
The Government Center? Well, great. Well, thanks again, Cheryl, for coming on the show today. It's been such a pleasure. I've learned a lot.
Well, good.
And I look forward to seeing you again.
Would love to do it.
Thank you. Dr. Kibler, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to have you again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a few years.
It has been a while. It has been a while. So for those of viewers out there who didn't have the opportunity to learn about you, tell us a little bit about your education and your background.
Okay. I'm a podiatrist. I'm a foot and ankle surgeon. And I did my training in Philadelphia at the University of Pennsylvania. And I did a foot and ankle surgery program there. It was a 4-year program. And then we moved to Charlotte after that residency and practiced there for a few years and moved down here to the coast 10 years ago now. And it seemed time is really flying.
Time goes by, yeah, quickly, yeah.
And so we've been here now for about 10 years at Brunswick Foot and Ankle Surgery, and I'm the only physician there. We recently joined a larger group across the state of podiatrists. It's called the North Carolina Podiatric Physicians and Surgeons Group. We have approximately 45 physicians in that group across the state from mountain to coast.
Wow, and tell me a little bit about that group. What does that help you in terms of educational, CMEs, things like that?
Certainly from the educational standpoint, it's very nice to bounce things off of a variety of physicians if you have a
Right.
particular interesting patient or you're not quite sure how to go about something. But it's also very nice from a standpoint of trying to improve our best practices,
Sure.
where we can look at data, compare data, and try to make sure that all our patients are getting the best care that they can. And when you have a large group and you can share data like that, it is very helpful for that.
Well, that's excellent. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome.
Now, you said your practice is Brunswick Foot and Ankle Surgery, and you've been there about 10 years. Tell me a little bit about the types of services that you provide at Brunswick Foot and Ankle Surgery.
Okay. We provide really the full scale of foot and ankle care, from basic podiatry services to taking care of the common corns and calluses and warts and toenail problems, to more the musculoskeletal problems of tendinitis and arch pain and hammer toes and bunions and flat feet and things like that. We provide services of X-ray imaging and ultrasound equipment and
In your office?
in our office.
That's convenient.
We have laser treatment. So we really run the full scale of what is available.
So there are quite a few services there. And today we want to talk about a few of the common problems that folks see. And I know I've certainly heard about bunions, but I'm not quite sure what that really is. So tell me about bunions.
Okay. A bunion is a deformity that develops usually as people age, but it can occur actually in children.
Really?
As an inherited genetic trait.
Oh, I thought it came from improperly fitting shoes.
And that is a contributing factor. But some of the genetic predisposition can lead the changes to develop over time, and it has to do with your foot type. Some people have a more loose foot type that can allow the bones in the foot to change position over time. And when the bones change position, the bunion develops on the side of the foot. And things such as tight-fitting shoes or dress shoes or high-heeled
Those
shoes,
pointy-toed
the pointy
things.
toes, can absolutely lead to that developing more quickly and sometimes more severely if you didn't use those type of shoes.
Well, how would you treat bunions? What do you do for them?
Well, the first thing we do is we ask the patient, is the bunion painful? If the bunion is not particularly painful and the patient's getting along just fine, they're actively doing exercise, they're going to the grocery store comfortably, they're going to work comfortably, and it's not really bothering them, generally we tell them to try to avoid shoes to make it worse. We try to give them some ideas to prevent worsening of the bunion. Sometimes arch supports or foot orthotics can slow the worsening of a bunion. And then we come back if it starts to become a problem or painful. And oftentimes we do see the patient back, but there's enough times where the patient never has a problem that we never really have to intervene. Sometimes if we have to intervene, we'll use wide toe box shoes as a starting point. Sometimes there's some padding that we can do on the side of the foot to try to cushion that area. Things such as Advil or Aleve or Tylenol, if you can take those kinds of medicines, can be helpful to reduce the irritation. Open toe box shoes, shoes that don't rub on that bunion prominence. So those are the basic common things that we do right off the bat. If patients don't get better with those common things, then sometimes we'll suggest surgical intervention because a bunion that's left there for a particularly long time can get very difficult to treat as it gets worse and worse and worse. And there are a lot of good surgical interventions that we do nowadays that were really not done 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
So times have changed an awful lot in how we correct bunion surgically.
Well, so it's not always a surgical procedure. It could be helped maybe.
Yeah, it maybe helps.
And some
Sometimes
other-
with changing in shoes, sometimes with
Yeah.
arch supports.
Well, that's good to know, because I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to have surgery, and I don't want
Right.
that. So,
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about hammer toes. I've heard that. I've heard that term several times. I'm
Right.
not sure what that is.
Yeah, a lot of people say, that, what is a hammer? You know, you picture is the toe like a hammer. A hammer toe is essentially a deformity of one of your small toes,
Okay.
not the big toe.
Okay.
And usually it's a deformity where the toe will sort of start to buckle up and
I
the
think my
knuckle
husband has
sticks.
that.
A lot of people do. More common in women, but men can have it as well.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. And when the knuckle does stick up, it can lead to a lot of issues. Number one is rubbing inside of shoes and pain, but oftentimes people get pain on the ball of their foot underneath the foot because of the hammer toe. And the hammer toe itself may not be hurting, but because of the deformity of the toe, it'll actually lead to a pain in the ball of the foot.
Is surgery indicated for something like that?
Again, sometimes. Oftentimes what we can do with hammer toes is we provide them with certain splints that will sometimes pull the toes down and reduce the pain.
Like straighten it out?
Yeah, it'll straighten it out. It doesn't necessarily permanently straighten it. I always liken it to as wearing a pair of glasses. You know, when I take my glasses off,
Can't see.
I can't see. But when I put my glasses on, I can
Right.
see. And the same thing with the splints is it helps to pull the toes down so that they don't bother people as much in shoes. But in cases where the splints aren't working, Advil, Aleve, Tylenol, things like that aren't helping, and shoe modifications aren't helping, there are ways that we can actually correct the deformity of the toe. And again, it's tremendous changes in the past, even 5 years, on how we correct hammer toes. For years, we used to put pins in toes and have things sticking out of the skin when we have to do surgery. All of that has changed. And what we do now is we actually do a lot of internal work where you don't see anything after the surgery coming out of the skin except for some of the stitches on top. People have really been very receptive to that change as far as not having these pins sticking out of the toes when we have to correct the hammer toes.
Well, I know this is a really gross topic, but I really want to cover this, and that's toenail fungus. What is toenail fungus, and how do you get rid of it, and how do you catch it, and can you catch it from one another?
Yeah, it can be contagious, if you will. It's not highly contagious, but it is a fungus. And if there's fungus around and you can spread fungus to other people in the family through showers and through possibly sharing a shoe or something like that. But toenail fungus is an infection of a nail. It can happen in the fingernails as well, much less commonly in the fingernails. But it happens in the toenails because we're always walking around in shoes.
Right.
And when we walk around in these shoes and socks and our feet sweat, that's a perfect breeding ground for fungus. Fungus is a type of mold, and mold grows in warm, dark
Places.
moist places, and that's our feet. Oftentimes it develops on the skin first. It's sort of like an athlete's foot. A lot of people don't even know they have it. A lot of people say, well, my foot doesn't itch, it's not red. Oftentimes just a chronic dryness of the bottom of the foot is a chronic athlete's foot. And then that fungus can then get into the toenails over time, sometimes because of a mild injury that occurred, sometimes because shoes are fitting too tight and it irritates the end of the toenail. And sometimes it just is a natural progression of the disease. The nails get thicker, they start to get a little bit of debris underneath the toenail, they start to get discolored, and those are oftentimes signs of toenail fungus. There are some other conditions that can look like toenail fungus as well. Things like a skin condition we call psoriasis, skin conditions we call eczema. Things like that can also cause the nail changes to people think they have toenail fungus but aren't sure. So I definitely recommend getting an evaluation to see if you actually do have toenail fungus.
That's really great information. It's been a pleasure having you on the show today, and I have so many more questions, but unfortunately we're out of time. So please let us know how patients and local folks can make an appointment with your office. Could you give us that phone number?
Yeah, we're at 910-755-6512.
Okay.
And they can reach me on my website at www.drbecker, drkibler.com. That's drkibler.com.
Great, great. And do you need a referral to see you?
You do not need a referral
Great.
unless your insurance carrier specifies it, but
Gotcha.
9 times out of 10, that's no.
Great. Well, thanks again for being here today. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. And first, I'd like for you to tell me a little bit about your role with the Novant Health Foundation Brunswick Medical Center. And how about this golf tournament that's going on?
Well, I feel like we're a liaison between the hospital and the community. And by the golf tournament, we will be supporting different functions that the foundation is going to do.
So that's just one of the many things
Yes.
that you're going to do.
Yes.
Well, I know that this is a side job for both of you. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Randy. What is it that you do now that you're retired?
Well, I am retired from local government
Right.
here in Brunswick, and I own my own business. I do disaster management, and have enjoyed that and enjoyed the opportunity to work with the foundation.
And how about you, Peg?
I'm retired. I live in Lockwood Folly, where the golf tournament will be. And I enjoy working with the foundation because I feel like we're helping the community.
Sure. Well, we're here today to talk about the foundation and one of its upcoming events. As we already mentioned, it's the golf tournament. But before we talk about the event, let's talk about the purpose of the foundation just a little bit. Randy, can you
Well, I think Peg mentioned it earlier about being a liaison between the hospital foundation and the community. But we also want to make sure that we're carrying out the mission of the hospital and reaching the community in trying to come up with programs that would assist the hospital community.
And when you have events like this, then you raise funds toward those
Yes.
those missions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So let's talk about some of the projects that the foundation is planning and currently working on. Peg, do you want to start with that?
Well, one is a wellness. We're doing a wellness for the mothers and for the children of the community. We want the mothers to be able to have the information when they're pregnant, to be able to get all their medications, and to breast nurse more than they are now. And for the children, I believe the obesity is very high here, so we're helping with that.
Okay. And Randy, I understand there's some sort of a garden going in at the hospital?
We do. We have a garden area that we're working on with the hospital in conjunction with the volunteer group of the hospital to give everyone an area to go to outside of the care environment. And hopefully this summer it will be completed. And people will be able to enjoy that.
So it's sort of a healing and respite area
That
for
is
folks
correct.
just to get away from it all. And will there be places for folks to eat and just sort of relax out there?
Both. You'll be able to have an area to go to for quiet time if you need it, or eating as well. So it's a combination. It's a very well orchestrated area that will work well for both environments.
Sounds lovely. I can't wait to see it.
I think
This
we're
summer,
all
right?
waiting to see it this
Yes.
summer.
Well, that sounds really neat. And so to raise money to make all these things happen, I understand there's a golf tournament. So that's what we're really here to talk about. Tell me a little bit about the golf tournament, Peg.
Okay, the golf tournament will be on a Friday, September 20th.
Okay.
And hopefully it won't rain, but if it does, it'll be held on Saturday, September 21st.
Oh, so the rain date is just the next day.
Yes. it
Okay.
is. And it's a gunshot, and it's captain's choice
What time is the gunshot?
at 8:30 in the morning, but you're
Is
welcome.
that like shotgun, gunshot?
Shotgun start.
Yeah.
Shotgun start at
Shotgun
8:30?
start, yeah. And you can, welcome to come around 7 o'clock. There'll be a buffet breakfast, and you
Okay.
sign up. And there'll be mulligans to buy, and
Well, tell me, is this the first one?
No, this is the second.
Second one?
Yes.
So let's talk about how this all works. How do people sign up? Is it a team or an individual, Randy?
You can sign up both. We have teams, individuals, and we have sponsorships.
Okay.
We
Still have sponsorships available?
We have sponsorships still available, and they range from $5,000 to $250,000. We would love to see more sponsors from the community
Sure.
involve themselves within the foundation and support the foundation through this golf tournament.
Sure. Now, I assume there's prizes to win. Am I correct?
That
Yes,
is correct.
Yes, you are.
So how many teams will place? I mean, how many, is it like first, second, and third?
Yes, yes, we have first, second, and third.
Or place
And
teams?
yes, we do.
And then we have the hole-in-one
Okay.
closest to the pin.
Okay.
We also are going to have some different things.
Closest to the line.
Closest to
and
the
then
line?
and a putting competition as well.
Oh,
Hole
so
in
does
one.
the putting competition, does that run at the same time as the golf tournament, or is that before?
Yes, it's in between hole number 18 and hole number 1. You stop and they let you putt there. It's free.
Oh, okay.
Yes, each team can stop there. It's lots of fun.
Okay. What else should the golfers know about that day? Talk to me about food and stuff like that.
Well, I'll be glad to help you out on the food.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah.
eaters. Okay, well,
You
tell
know,
me about food.
One of the biggest things that we heard from last year was the buffet luncheon that was provided after the
I
golf
heard it was
tournament.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, the caterer that was involved in it actually prepared ribs and chicken right there on
Right
the
there?
grill.
Wow, that's awesome.
And there was more food than anyone could eat. And
Ribs and chicken, right?
ribs and chicken and barbecue. I mean, it was
Everything.
a big selection of food. So no one went away hungry. That was a big treat for a lot of folks last year.
Well, good. Peg, you said something about mulligans would be available. And
Yes.
something, a captain's choice format. What is that?
Captain's choice, there's the captain of the team, and you all tee off, everybody tees off, and then he picks the best ball, or the ball he
so
thinks.
you go with the best one.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds like something
Yes.
I might be able to do.
Sure.
Because I'm terrible, so if I've got like 3 other people.
Anybody can do it. You don't have to have a handicap or anything. Just come and enjoy yourself. It's a fun day.
Okay. Well, if folks are interested in playing in the tournament, is there a person that they need to contact?
They can contact Sally Henry,
Mm-hmm.
and her telephone number is 910-721-1460.
Okay, and so they just call Sally and say, I'm interested, and
Yes.
are there forms to fill out, or
Yes.
she'll get all that
She'll
information
get all that
to
information to
them?
them. She
Yes.
sure will.
Okay. Well, we sure have enjoyed having you on the show today, both of you.
Well, thank
Did
you.
I forget anything? Is there anything else you want to tell us before we,
no.
about the foundation or let's hear about that foundation one more time.
Yeah, that it's here to support the community, and the way in which we are able to support the community is with funds, and this is just one of our outreach efforts.
Now, I think there are a couple other events that were going to happen this year, but
Yes.
this one coming up in September is a big one, the golf tournament, and I think there's going to be something in the fall, and we'll have more information on that.
That
Yes,
is
we
correct.
will.
So great. Well, thanks again for joining us. We hope to see you very soon, and we'll
Yes.
see you at the golf tournament.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in to ATMC TV's Health Watch. I hope this information was beneficial for you and your family. If you have any questions or topics that you would like to see on a future show, please let us know at atmctv.com. For more information on Novant Health Brunswick Medical Center, local physicians, and general health information, please visit novanthealth.org. Thanks again for joining us today. Be sure to join us next time for Health Watch on ATMC TV.